opportunity for the single most powerful Dell laptop we have ever offered as of today. What we wanted to do, because everything on this computer for 6 easy payments is stepped up. Starting with the processor. Yeah. Here is this pop-up video to let you know exactly what you're going to be getting in just a couple of days.
And it's either the 15 or the 17. They're both a high-definition, souped-up processor. It's a dual-core processor, but the Core i5 includes something called hyper-threading technology. So it basically means that it can throw it into overdrive. It's got multiple cores that work independently, so you can have a lot more through traffic than you would on your old processor. So it's very fast, very efficient, and it actually now is Intel's best-selling processor. So we didn't skimp it down on the brains of your computer. You have a super fast, highly charged processor running everything inside this computer.
You've got it, Core i5. 6 gigs of memory, my friend.
Yeah, 6
not
gigs.
2, not 4, but 6 gigs of memory. So you've got a Core i5, 6 gigs. You want obsolescence? You're not going to get it with
Intel's best-selling processor, that Core i5 processor, a lot of memory with 6 gigs, the biggest hard drive we can
available. And it is just simply the most powerful Dell, today's special value, that has ever been made available. It has the 3rd generation Core i5 processor, which is smoking fast.
I want to start with the processor because that's really the brains of your computer. That's where everything is dictated by how fast it's going to run, how smooth it's going to run. This is the Intel Core i5 3rd generation processor. So that processor is Intel selling now. It is extremely fast, and it's not just a dual core processor. You're seeing how normal dual core processors operate today. The Intel Core i5 actually has something called hyper-threading technology, so it allows multiple avenues of traffic to go through each core. It almost simulates the process of a 4-core processor, so you have a lot more data that can go through all at the same time. So for multitasking, say you are downloading a movie at the same time that you're uploading photos, that goes really seamlessly, very smooth, very fast, and it's also really good on your battery life as well. So it's an efficient processor that's made for this type of computer, so it doesn't drain your battery when it's doing all of those things.
Almost everything now.
Anything about fast cars. So this is Intel's best-selling processor, the Core i5. It's their 3rd generation, so it's latest and greatest. It's very fast, Susan. That's kind of the easiest way to look at it. It's a sports car. It can handle all of the intensive applications that you're going to run. So you know when you go to websites, they load faster. When you download songs, they download faster. When you open new programs, it opens faster. Everything that you do with your computer is faster with a great processor, and they don't get a whole lot better than this one.
Well, he asked me about that because we've had, trouble with some pretty slow ones.
Yep.
So I said, look, they're not going to put a processor that's not really good on a computer like this.
You're right. Yeah, this is a great one.
And it's the latest and greatest. It's not an old processor put into a machine just to hit a good price point. This is the latest generation.
Great. I got to go. You guys are going to make me
late to church. Go to church, Susan. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
Bye. Have a good.
About the fact that this is coming with an Intel Core i5 processor.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Core i5. It's Intel's best-selling processor. It's a dual-core processor that's souped up, basically. So each core of that processor can transmit multiple lanes of traffic, for instance. So it's really fast, very efficient, one of the best processors out on the market.
Now, you're also going to combine that with 6 gigs of random access memory. So that's going to allow you to do a lot of multitasking. That combined with that processor makes this lightning fast.
Exactly.
And an Intel Core i5 processor. Let's get back to basics a little bit and talk about these specs. Talk about what we call the engine of the computer, the processor.
That's the processor, right. And, Intel's Core i5 really at the higher end of processors these days. It's Intel's best-selling processor. The Core i5 is a dual-core processor, but each one of those cores has a capability of more throughput than a typical dual-core. So this is what a typical dual-core processor does. It has multiple tasks that it processes at once, and things have to get in line. With Intel's Core i5, they've got a hyper-threading technology, which basically means that each core of the processor can handle double the throughput that it could prior. So now, as opposed to getting in line, all of those tasks can happen at the same time. So real world example, you're downloading some music, and you're also online updating your Facebook, and you're also loading some photos from your digital camera. Those are all pretty intensive applications. When you have a smooth, fast processor like the Core i5, you can do those all at once and not experience a lot of slowdown. Your computer doesn't bog down. So it really is equipped for the type of computing that we like to do today, which is a lot and often.
Exactly, a lot and
all
often.
These features. Now let's talk about why this is such a lightning fast computer.
Right.
It starts with that processor.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's Intel's best-selling Core i5 third-generation processor. It's the 3210. I've actually gotten a lot of good questions about the technology, and it's the Core i5 3210 processor. And you know, this is what a dual-core processor typically does. You've got 2 lanes of traffic that all of your data, all of the processes can pass through. So all of these things have to get in line behind one another. Intel's Core i5 has something called hyper-threading technology, and they basically increase the throughput that each of those cores has. So all of that same amount of data goes through a lot faster than it ever could before. The other thing about the Intel processor is that it's very energy efficient, so it's specifically meant for this type of mobile computing, and it's really good on your battery life as well. So it's the ideal performer if you really want a lot of speed and you don't want to wait on things to open and close.
Okay. Well, guess what? We've got a Core i5 processor, the new flagship from Intel, correct?
Yeah, it's their best-selling processor. It's extremely fast. You know, dual-core processors are really prevalent, and this is how most of them work. You've got 2 cores that all the tasks get in line behind one another. You have 2 lanes of traffic they can go through. Intel, with their hyper-threading technology in this Core i5, actually double that space in each, virtually double the space for each.
All of a sudden, you've got the extra carpool lane.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
for you.
You've got your HOV lane that goes through, and so now all of that data that's going through happens in a much shorter amount of time. So it's like multitasking on your processor.
Right on your processor.
Right.
Now, how does that work? Well, it works along with the memory to make this stuff happen, the random access memory, the short-term memory.
If you're uploading photos, if you're rendering digital video, all of those things that can be really intensive are made easier with a good processor. This is the Intel Core i5 processor. It's Intel's best-selling processor, and those guys know what they're doing when it comes to making processors.
I think they've had some experience with it.
They've had some experience. What you're seeing right now is what a typical dual-core, a traditional dual-core does. You know, you have 2 lanes of traffic. Everybody's got to get in line to get through. So when you have 4 or 5 things going at once, with their hyper-threading technology that's in this Core i5, it opens up each of those cores so that even more traffic can get through. So it's a lot faster. It's a multitasking processor in and of itself.
Tammy from Ohio.
With the Intel Core i5 processor to run this, and it's the latest generation. Yeah. What does that mean for us, and what are we going to see?
Well, the Core i5 processor is the most popular processor that Intel makes right now. It's fast, it's powerful. It runs at 2.5 gigahertz. It's the 3rd generation too. It's the latest generation of Core i5. So it's faster and smarter than previous generations. It's also easier on your battery, so you get longer battery charge with it as well too. You get the 6 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. Now DDR3 RAM is twice as fast as DDR2 RAM. And when you get 6 gigabytes, you've got lots of capability to multitask. It's all about multitasking in today's computing world. 6 gigabytes gives you plenty of multitasking capability.
You know, you said 2.5 gigahertz?
2.5 gigahertz, yes.
That's a lot. And you know, when you start looking at what is running your car, it's the difference between a V4 or a V6 or a V8. You're looking for something to run your computer fast, to get it done efficiently, so that you can get on with your day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And with this Core i5 processor, you get that capability. It's very fast. It's very powerful. It's going to plow through all of those processor-intensive tasks that you're going to do on this computer. And this computer is designed specifically for multitasking. Windows 8 is designed for multitasking. So, you need that fast processor. You get it here with that Core i5.
So you take that Core i5 processor and you put it with...
This is the 3rd generation Core i5 processor. So it's the latest edition of Core i5. And not all dual-core processors are created equally. The Core i5 series has hyper-threading technology and turbo boost technology. Now what that means is that those are technologies that enable the processor to run faster when it needs to and get your work done quicker. And that's what it's all about. When you sit down at your computer, you want to get things done quickly, and you want to get off and having a good time with your computer. You can have loads of fun with this computer as well too, thanks to that Core i5 and the 6 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM.